This is the first ever episode of the NoPlay Cast. Is that what NoPlay Podcast? How are we feeling about that?
So, I've thought about it for a little while, and I think that the Nomadic Playground is a good home for a creative podcast-like project, and I'm excited to try and put it there.
Yeah.
I think that, but, it's like a presented by the Nomadic Playground, and I am your host, Conundrum.
And I am Smile Bro.
Cool.
Yeah, Nomadic Playground or NoPlay started as a collective of people that we enjoy that make art, and the name came from like being nomadic because we were from all over and still are kind of all over, and we were hoping to come together to have a little playground to do live shows and put out music into the world. So
it's kind of the dream of like any creative artist to be someone who can like go anywhere and still have like a core group of friends or collaborators or like people who they can rely on.
Yeah, bring all the homies and have them do the sets around you.
Yeah. So I feel like it's really like I don't know. It's a strong desire for a lot of people, but to be able to create it is hard. It takes a lot of work
and like
strong connections.
Passionate and talented group to like throw, which luckily I think we kind of naturally have. Whenever I hear people talking about like groups they came up with and stuff, I'm like, oh man, I wish I was there during that time for that thing. And then I realized that I kind of have my own version of that with the people we surround ourselves with. And whenever I hang out with other groups, I'm like, oh, if I didn't know my friends existed, life might suck.
Yeah. It's weird how those things develop. They kind of sneak up on you.
Yeah.
You don't think that they'll they can only develop naturally or something, so you never know what it'll end up like or whatever.
And you probably don't know what it is while it's happening. I feel like often you're like striving for something else. Like you're like, oh man, I wish I was like had the perfect significant other, or like had a group of guys that we just made music and made cool stuff all the time.
Yeah. And
then you realize that you found that without looking for it, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm curious, when I was at that conference, there's this one guy who was so adamant to me, and he's like, never hire your friends. He's like, every single friend that I've hired, we don't talk anymore. Like there's like, he had like 5 people, I think, and one of them, they like kind of checked in once in a while, and they used to be like good friends before they worked together.
Yeah.
But I think that might depend on the people and the job and the relationship. Because I think in his scenario, it was like he was trying to pull on just like random people to edit videos for him. And I could imagine if someone wasn't pumped about that job, even if he was like compensating well and being nice, that there could be a messy fallout.
Do you want to clarify like a specific question, or do you like just the general idea? I was just
throwing that idea out there because I've debated in my head, like, because I've always fantasized like, oh, this friend. Yeah. This friend is sick at this, and once stuff starts popping, I'm going to pull him on to like help out with that.
I think what matters is the motivation for the person to do what you want them to. Not for them, but like for you. Like if you know that person wants to do what you also like want them to do, then it's a good fit because you found someone who's going to really show up and be excited about doing that thing for you that you're not wanting to do yourself.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But if you find someone who's like your friend first and then just there and you give them that job, I think that in a lot of cases that can be a recipe for disaster, because like even if they show up on, you know, for the first couple of weeks or whatever, happy to learn, like at the end of the day you just ask them to do something like crazy.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, were they asking for it?
Yeah, I don't know specifically for his context, but yeah, that's a good point, because like if you throw somebody into a role that they're not pumped about and expect them to keep innovating and like be like the best at that job, and then get disappointed when they like don't deliver you like world-class results, like that's probably, you're bound to lose a friend there.
I think it's probably like who are those friends who you like can't see yourself not working with, and like those are the people that you should kind of like chase after, scout, and maybe that would be a better strategy than like hiring the friends that are just there because they're there. I mean, like proximity it's like helpful in a lot of cases, but I think that it's also like a rose-colored glass where you're like, oh, the proximity effect of this situation is such that I should take this action, when maybe like actually you should just go elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think trust is kind of a thing we don't have to worry about, or we don't face often. But that's one that's like super valuable, maybe on like a scaled up version of whatever we try to do. Yeah. Where you're like always worried about that aspect.
It can compromise anything. Like without trust, the whole, I don't know, a lot of what we do would break down. And I think about it just as something as simple as like if we had theft, like we wouldn't be able to just replace it super easily. So like it would just be a huge problem. And I don't know, that sucks. Yeah. But like we also are in a fortunate community environment where it's like pretty low risk, and like
everybody's sharing everybody's gear, almost like
it's pretty respectable around here. Yeah. And it's really I like that. It's nice to be in a community where you can like do stuff and not be all like worried about your car getting jacked. Yeah. And that's, yeah.
I think I've craved like a taste of like kind of both of those worlds, like the fast and loud, a lot of friction with new people and trying to get better and whatever in all the ways that you can in that way. But also like returning to the like stable and like energizing community that we have. Yeah. So I think my dream world is like those two things, where it's like kind of sprint and pull back, and then marathon with the right people, and maybe bring some of the sprint people into the marathon.
I think it's like that, and people shift and evolve too. I think it's that sometimes personal relationships just make it more complicated, because if everyone goes home to their own like families and then gets together for work, like it's a lot different than everyone, whatever the friends thing is. I don't know.
Like living together or something?
Yeah. There's different levels to a relationship, and working with your friends is different than talking about working with your friends.
Yeah, too. Yeah. That's definitely something to know. Yeah. Yeah, because you can't change anybody. I've learned that, like, not even in like, I don't even mean that in like personality or like whatever. It's more about like you can't change someone's motivations. Yeah. So if they don't want to be sick at like some specific thing, even if you like brought Skrillex in the room to teach them how to like make the best dance music ever. Yeah. And told them that they had like 2 weeks with them, there's some high percentage of people that still would maybe like humor the offer because of the opportunity, but wouldn't take anything out of that.
Well, it's probably it sounds like why wealthy people sometimes like struggle to get acclimated, is that they don't have any time to like figure out what they want. They're sort of given opportunities that they're not fit for, and then like flunk out or make it work.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's helpful, but I was thinking about it kind of like that.
Yeah, like how fast you get to something, I think, is really has like it's kind of how strong the rubber band is or something. Like you pull on it.
Yeah.
And if you do it for a long time, then
What happens when you pull it too far?
it snaps. Yeah. Tasteful.
Okay, go on.
Oh shit. There we go. That was the right one. Yeah, but like becoming famous or rich, like
speed at which you get into the spot.
The speed that it takes, the speed that you go into those things, I think, can often negatively affect your sustainability there. Mm-hmm. Most of the people you see that are up there for a long time, it was like they got $1 million and they weren't buying a gold chain. They were buying like a touring stage that was like the best available stage because they knew what.
Yeah. But it's also like time spent, matters. And so them having toured for 5 or 10 years, even at much smaller levels, builds you that audience of people who know and like your stuff and can really form the foundation of your whole fan base. Yeah. And so like, I think that even if you've got a song that like pops off really fast, you haven't secured yourself the staying power because you just started. I don't know. You kind of like jumped in line, and then like some people aren't ready for it. Yeah, so I've heard get thrown off the top.
This idea from like a lot of people, a lot of artists, about how when you first pop off is like the best time in your career. When you first like are experiencing all those things for the first time and are like kind of taking off. Yeah. But it's also the like most hindering part for the rest of your career. Like how everyone is introduced to your project is how they see it kind of forever until you like change their mind. And sometimes like you can take off with one song that isn't necessarily your vibe or whatever, or like, I don't know, kind of you're a slave to like the first song or first experience that people have with your project.
Yeah, like what are some examples of that come to mind?
Probably like the Chainsmokers Selfie. Like that was their first song to like really take off, and it was like this like meme song that was like kind of,
it's like a club thing.
Club like kind of cringe thing.
Cringy club tune, yeah.
Yeah, and they noted that they like made that song for that reason. Like it was just fun for their friends. Which is another thing, like the amount of artists I've heard taking off on the song that they thought was a joke or just made so quickly. There's something to that. Like maybe it's like there's this quote that my uncle always says, I don't know if it's true, but it's like Picasso saying that it took him like 40 years to relearn how to paint like a child. So maybe that's kind of like that note that they're striking is like these super talented artists, their song to like take off is the one that they like allowed themselves to like not go into too many details and just create in a flow state. Or I don't know if there's merit to that argument, but
well, I often think of it as I really like the direction, but I think of it a little bit like the depth as not always being the best thing for the end result. Like sometimes what you find at the like extreme of your exploration isn't your best sounding stuff. So the stuff that you like find kind of like in the middle when you're just like tootling around.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the art that's kicked up in the wake of your musical exploration or something.
So you have to like go on the deep end to like make stuff in the kiddie pool kind of stuff.
Yeah, and like you're probably, you're the horizons at which your kiddie pool exists and expands and contrasts as you explore or something. Like you could probably make something that sounds like an old Flume song in your sleep. And so your kiddie pool is like kind of a weird electronic wasteland, but maybe not like exactly what your last song sounded like.
I think I got lost in the whole metaphor.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't need to continue it.
It was nice though. I like the idea of like, with music, you can make stuff in the deep end, and the average person might not be able to swim out there. But once you figure out what the deep end's like, you can bring it back to the kiddie pool, and then everybody can have a little, everybody can enjoy this little party. Like, doesn't matter if you can swim or not, you're still in water.
Yeah. Well, do you think that is at all like where Chainsmokers were with their music? And like for some reason that that song blew them up and put them in the like deep end, or no. So that they found with like Closer, maybe they hit the kiddie pool again. I don't know if that's pretty
well, Drew said that
because Closer was the one that they returned with, and like was that?
I think it was like Roses.
Okay,
was like the next one that like, and then eventually
that
Closer
one charted, and then Closer
was like peak,
topped it.
Yeah, but Roses, nice. I think. So I think like Selfie was, all right, let's take all the knowledge that we have for this, I don't know what it was, like progressive house or like some version of popular dance music at that time.
Like Calvin Harris and Tiesto used to do a bunch of.
And bring in this, new character of like a meme girl in the club.
Yeah.
To have curb appeal that no one had heard before.
Yeah.
So they were like kind of pushing the boundaries because like
it was sick.
Yeah. Because it wasn't a bad song. It was just like, easy to like crap on.
I'm sure even in their end, like I'm sure that they wouldn't like change a thing. They just like,
oh yeah,
they're like, oh man, that was tough to like get around. Everyone was like, so selfie boys.
Yeah. But then I think Drew talked about how Roses was, I could be misquoting, but like him trying to impress a girl.
Okay.
And she liked trap music. So he took the production style of like the progressive house or whatever he was making. He's like, he took all that knowledge and then he threw it into like trap music. And then it made this like bouncy pop trap kind of stuff. And that like is why they launched. I sometimes get worried about, you can't prepare for everything, but like the first song, my Selfie song, or,
Chicken Nugget.
Yeah. I think that one I'd be okay with it. Chicken Nugget, I think.
You say that until in like 20 years, they're like, Chicken Nugget, bro.
My favorite chicken nugget.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I don't know. It's still like, the people I've played it for, like, a lot of people laugh.
Smile, Chicken Nugget, smile.
Yes. Yeah, how could you?
Yeah. Do people like the joke, or the chicken nugget part?
Some people think it's cringy, and some people like really enjoy it, and like it actually evokes emotion. So I think that's what I'm most pumped about, is that
making them feel stuff.
Yeah, I think that it does what I really want to do, is like make people feel stuff. But the way that it does it is it tells this kind of emotional story of like you trying to mend someone else's broken heart, like watching them get their heart broken. And then you're like, hey, I just saw that monster like did despicable things to you, I know that I can't fix your heart, but I'll give you mine to do whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
You can like break it if it'll help you in any way. You can break my heart. If him breaking your heart, whatever. But and then it throws into like you're my favorite chicken nugget. So it's like kind of this like super.
It's deep, and then
it's like
whips it
juxtaposition.
Back. Yeah. I mean, that's nice. It's got a really strong, like, there's something powerful there. Yeah. Because the throwing it back to a chicken nugget song, man, like that, I mean, that's a piece of art.
You could never understand what it was about and still like laugh that it was about chicken nuggets. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I'd care. Like,
speaks to the soul.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just like, yeah, being able to laugh at something. I have the song, Do You Like My Voice? Mm-hmm. And it's where I like sequentially do like all the processing of my vocals that I'd done to that point.
Cool.
Just like right after each other. And it was this joke of a song that I threw together. And the only reason I put it out is because when I played it for my parents, they bursted out laughing and laughed almost the whole song.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And I was like, I think this is what I'm going for. This is beautiful. So yeah, that was all it took for me to like kind of throw it out.
That's special.
Yeah.
You've been writing some music with your parents recently too.
Yeah.
How has it been like, I guess I'll tie them together and ask, like, how's it been connecting with them musically over the last little while? Has that been new? Has that been...
Yeah.
Has it been...
It's been like something that makes a lot of sense to do, because it's like the people that inspired you are like kind of like helps you get into things. Mm-hmm. It's like you'd feel like it'd be your dream to like do something with them and create something cool.
Yeah.
I feel like not many people like try it. But with my mom, it was fantastic. She's actually a great songwriter, and I can understand that I get my storytelling a little bit from her in that, like being able to pull out things that you're feeling and like express them in like kind of simple words, and a little bit of melody and just like go with the flow kind of thing.
Yeah.
My dad was like a wildly opposite experience. Yeah. He had this character voice that he got into in a half second, wrote auto-tune like it was his horse, like, and he just off the dome did a story for like 3 minutes. And it was like semi sermon, semi like casual comedy. And when he was done, I was like, oh my goodness. That was like the most beautiful organic thing I've ever heard. I don't know if we'll ever put it out because it's like a little out there, but yeah, it was like I could see where my artistry came from. It was like this deep storyteller that like processes pain in a certain way. And this person who tries to find the humor in life and tell someone an inspiring and, you know, a journey of a story and use like characters using their voice and their so that was probably my favorite part of working with my parents, was seeing where I came from in my way of creating, even if that's not entirely true, but felt like it.
Did your dad read to you when you were growing up?
He told me stories at night.
Did he use voices?
Yeah.
Cool. Mine too.
We talked about that after.
Yeah.
He was like, you remember when I would just tell you those stories? He would just think of stories and like knew one every night and just like tell me one. So yeah, that makes sense that's where that came from. Have you made any art with your parents?
Not as of recent, no. I've helped him with a couple of things, but no, nothing like really freestyle.
Sure.
Yeah, but it sounded really fun. I think that Yeah.
It's a right place, right time thing too, though. Like the reason it happened is because I live like 10 minutes from my parents and they're over all the time.
Yeah.
Now for this while I'm here.
Yeah.
So, but I think maybe even we should, I know we try to like take on a million projects, but
we do
allowing people to create art with their parents. I think that could be like, or some sort of like family, like, you know, therapeutic art session where you kind of like learn about each other, maybe heal a little bit and express yourself.
I think that'd be interesting. You have like a creative space for that kind of thing.
Yeah. Or maybe we just do it with our families. Like we just all have an event where we just invite our friends and their parents and just
what is the part of that matters? Is it everyone doing the same thing? Is it everyone being there together? Is it the like everyone doing something that they're curious about and interested in? Or is it the actual spontaneity of like random people coming together at a random time and you can't simulate it at all?
I think I would say all of those things. There's like the combination of that's pretty exciting. And if you could, like, when's the last time you were uncomfortable with your parents? Or like you both were uncomfortable facing the same challenge?
That's a good point.
Like I feel like I've so infrequently faced that. And it would be just such a like learning experience and like a bonding experience. And, you know, it could go wrong too, but I don't know. It sounds kind of exciting.
Sponsored by your local escape room.
Yeah. Maybe that is kind of that vibe.
Yeah. I think this shared struggle, but it's a great point that like having, I mean, in this case, it's like a one interesting, like balanced, you know, in an escape room in theory, everyone's sort of got the same ability to do the work too.
Yeah.
And in the studio situation. in the studio. Oh no, we lost another camera.
Oh goodness.
Boosh.
Lost right. You. Okay.
We'll pause for cameras.
Cool. All right. Get back into it.
It's a horny little tune.
Yeah, got a lot of funk in there. All right, we are back. This that little break that we took was functional for our own purpose of getting camera angles back, but it could be a moment for some sponsored ads if some of the brands that I would love to be sponsored by are V8 Energy,
okay,
Zenny Glasses.
Okay.
Let's go to you and then come back to me because I'll think of more.
QSC.
Nice.
Zoom.
Also solid. Currently shot on a Zoom P4.
This is a tech test.
Yeah, we can move on from that. We kind of left off on...
Well, I wanted to ask you about podcasting. Okay. Do you like podcasting? And what is your experience podcasting outside of podcasting with me?
I think it's non-existent.
Oh.
So, well, I love... Honestly, I really love comedy podcasts. Cool. Those are my favorite. That's my throw on and jam out. So you get some chuckles, you get some life reflections. But I think podcasting is the way you can really get to know someone. Kind of that is kind of like that distant stranger or whatever. So it's a nice... whenever I interact with people in general, I try to go depth pretty quick. Mm-hmm. So I kind of test those waters. So I think I like to do that in a virtual way too, with like the artists that I look up to and people I'm interested in, or for also entertainment and stuff. But
yeah, I like the format for a lot of those reasons too. It's like A good way to meet and talk and go deeper than you probably would otherwise with stuff.
It's a commitment too. Like, you're giving someone like hours of your life, and like giving their words all your attention.
Well, and permission to distribute those words on the internet too.
Yeah.
I suppose it helps we're not like trying to talk about anything weird.
Yeah.
Except for like people sending us, I don't know, modular or something.
Yeah.
Modular pieces.
I don't think that I would use those.
Yeah.
They're a little too, take too long to get the same thing as another thing.
There's a phone call from Zach. Zach, you're on the show.
Throw it up to the mic.
Hey, I'm all done with band packing.
Okay.
Wondering what my best next thing is. I was thinking of grabbing some Taco John's, but if you guys are going to eat after we pack up, I'll wait.
I think Jared and I would like some Olays, probably.
Yeah, we'll probably.
Oh wait, so that's changing the plan.
Oh, that's both.
So
You
should
just
I
combine.
grab us TJs?
We're mid podcasting. You're our caller, but we're hungry.
Hey, podcast. Should we get Taco John's?
It's not.
What did they say?
They said yes.
Yeah.
Okay, can you text me an order? I'm like a block away from there.
Sick. We can do that.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll see your text soon.
Unless
Okay.
we should go somewhere.
Do you want to go somewhere soon? Do you want to wrap up this podcast?
No, I kind of want to go for a bit.
Okay, Jared
I
wants
say
to.
let's just grab TJ so that we're full boys while we're tearing down.
You just want to keep it simple and grab like a couple Dillas and some Olays, and we can eat out later.
Chicken, cheese, or beef, boys?
So
I'm
it's
open to all meats.
all meats.
All meats?
Chicken or beef.
A variety.
Yeah.
That makes it
So in
harder.
the options of chicken or beef, you pick chicken or beef.
Bro.
Get anything is what we're
All right,
saying.
I'll see you guys soon.
All right. Thanks for calling.
Bye.
I feel like I do that a lot. People will be like, "What do you want?" And I'm like, "Whatever's easiest." And that response almost makes the question harder for the person asking.
I ran into somebody who accused me of being too like Minnesota nice too. And it's like you don't stand up for what you actually want kind of thing, and you just like push over. You're like, well, whatever works. Don't bother me.
Yeah.
And I feel a little bit like that sometimes.
Yeah,
I'm
sometimes
like,
sometimes that's true, but
I don't
oftentimes
know,
it's
do
just
you
like,
have like so money leftovers that you just need to give some away, or like I don't.
you're making it like
guess. Are you gonna need these dishes back? Or can I keep them?
I can use my hands. I don't need a plate. You don't need to dirty your table either. I can go outside.
You're like, but do you have power and Wi-Fi so I can work?
No, that's what I was gonna say. Is like, sometimes I'm just being nice, and I actually know what I want, which is like not super often. Normally it's because I know someone else wants something more than I want something, so I'm just like, okay, whatever. But I just don't care about food. Like on food, and I think I care more about drinks. But generally, like when people ask, I'm just like, with that, it was like, if it was chicken, beef, or like had neither,
Yeah,
probably wouldn't change my experience like in the
feel the
smallest
same.
percent. it's
it's like it's a paralysis of choice thing too, where we just have like genuinely far more options than we need in like most cases.
Yeah.
You ever feel like that in the supermarket, especially as someone who doesn't eat a lot? You're
I don't
like,
go. I don't really go to the supermarket.
Nice.
And when I do, it's like I get the same things like every time. The things that I know that are like low in sugar and like are the easiest to make and are like just kind of taste good and I'm kind of excited about.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like
simple as like possible. Get the calories.
But I appreciate when other people make good food and stuff. It's just not. It's not worth the time for me. I have like 1,000 things I could spend time on, and making food seems like a lot invested for like.
What's you got any like good solution? What's your favorite solution for that problem? Is it go to a friend's house, or is it like, is it go out to eat, or is it get some like cheap and mediocre healthy microwave option? Or
for a long time it was like tuna packets and like regular tuna packets and mustard, or just like the flavored tuna packets was my like, I don't have time. Let's just like keep living for a little bit.
Yeah.
But funny enough, right now I just moved in with my uncle. His main hobby and thing he's passionate about is just like trying out crazy recipes and making food for people. So in that way, we're kind of like compatible in a lot of ways, where it's like, you know, a lot of things that people might not enjoy that he does, like living with him or whatever, I don't mind. And the things he's pumped about, I don't want to do. So, and likewise, like I'm not the easiest to live with, but he's like kind of cool with the things that I do. And so I'm kind of excited for the situation, because it seems like we're healthy other halves of things that we don't enjoy or something.
It's cool when adult relationships work out, where you actually like can tolerate each other and like feel like you're all on a good flow together.
Yeah. I feel like you and JC balance that so well. Like you're just good at communicating and working around each other's stuff. And willing to stick around.
Yeah,
just like,
we're flexible.
Yeah, it's cool. It's inspiring. Like you could leave at any time, but you're both just like, I love this. Yeah.
It's nice. I like building things with people. I like trying stuff, you know, having a house even, and like trying to manage a home, be a homeowner.
Yeah.
It's been one of the big projects of my last couple of years.
I will say, watching that, you guys that go through that, has been wildly uninspiring for buying a house.
That's good. I mean, yeah.
Because it's like, oh my goodness, it's like 1,000 problems you could have, and you're just like hoping that you have a less percentage than you like think you might. And I just don't have time or energy or money to put into that right now.
I think it's good to know what you want out of situation, and like, I guess for, you know, yeah, it really unlocked for us a lot of what we needed, and it's been fun. Like, I like a good challenge like that, and I think it's probably like nostalgia from growing up, because I grew up with my family doing home projects, kind of like that sort of stuff. So I probably kind of like to get into it a little bit, or I wasn't scared away from an old house.
Yeah.
That was maybe my mistake too, though, you know.
I don't know. I think you got best value, and you've like worked that place out to be exactly like that place is like perfect for you guys.
I love it.
Honestly, I couldn't picture
a
better spot for like all the things that you guys do and the type of hosting you do. My only suggestion would be more comfortable couches and stuff, but you both love those things, so
that's a good suggestion.
I'm not gonna tear down your vibe.
Well, that's on our shopping list once we can get from a shop that's not the thrift shop.
Dude, all my favorite couches that I own right now were free.
Really?
So
that's awesome.
But I sometimes sacrifice ugly for comfortable.
Yeah, I think we're on the other side of that coin, probably.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed having green spaces. Like, we were out hauling stuff around all over Minnesota the other weekend and found that plant, and I really like the way that one sits in the house. Like, it's really tall and large, and it's nice to have in the home.
Yeah. Dude, being in your sunroom, I don't know if I think it was yesterday morning, when I just woke up and like walked in there to work, and you you just had like a 2 hours of someone jamming from YouTube, like just doing their beats or like doing a one vibe the whole time, like DJ set. And then there was sun coming through, there's plants, there was like people around kind of casually and the cats and just the vibe. And I was like, dude, this is fantastic, but I could never do this for myself. But that was the only time I've ever wished that I could.
Yeah.
Was when I like walked in there and I was like, this is actually great. I'm inspired and I enjoy this.
Yeah.
And then I was a little disappointed because I was like, there's no way I'm replicating this. It's kind of like your sandwiches. Fantastic sandwiches. I literally got the same ingredients and they tasted so much worse. So it's just like, you know, simple things that I can only enjoy in the presence of Willis and his house.
Yeah. There's a couple things that I try to do really well. I think it's one of those, like, you can't focus everywhere, but you got to focus in a couple places. And I think, you know, it's like even that, you got to keep cutting and keep refining and keep focusing.
Yeah.
But I'm enjoying like building a home and building like curate. That was the problem that I had before, was that I didn't have any control over the space, and I wanted to be able to like do stuff. You know, that show we threw in the basement the other week was one of my like favorite recent explorations of like what it could do, and that was really fun.
Yeah. It's cool that I'm so inspired by your passion for things that I'm not passionate about. Like, just that you're always like, do you think, like last night, you're like, do you think adding more production to like the open mic would make it like sick? And I was like, well, I mean, it's kind of almost at the peak of like what's worth putting into it right now and like putting out value. But you're just so excited for those projects, and like load in and load out isn't bad, and setup is almost your favorite part. And it's just like, I didn't even know people like you existed until I like interacted with you. Well, I mean, I don't interact with like people in general surrounding this world. Like, I've made music by myself my whole career almost. And I've done shows with you guys strictly, actually. So you're my only point of reference. But what I'm trying to say is that it's so cool that it feels like you're equally as passionate about how I feel about making music, about making the show and like making the production around the show. Because like that's probably more admirable than what I do. Mine's like, you know, cliche and like.
Yeah, well, you know, I think both are, like you were saying, kind of both are important, and it's easy for people to kind of focus in one area and forget about another. Or I've always seen like, I don't know, yeah, I've always seen the like back. I'm like, oh, okay, but what's behind there? What's behind that door? Or like, what's the like one that's not that one? Who's the guy behind that guy? Or like, what's the system that makes all this possible?
Yeah.
Or
the epitome of that is watching you get so excited to set up, and then once you're done setting up, you're like, we don't even have to record this. Like, there's been multiple occasions where you were like teetering on like even using the setup that you just did, where you're just like, I kind of got all the dopamine and enjoyment out of this experience that I could have gotten. So if it goes no further, I would be okay with tearing it down, because that would be kind of more fun than like the actual show.
The amount of like, yeah, man.
But
the
that's
amount
sick.
of stuff that like just hasn't gotten put out is crazy.
Yeah. We have like a surplus of cool stuff like on our hard drives and backlogs that's like almost embarrassing. But
it's just like, what do? You go put out old stuff.
Yeah. But I think that's allowed us to like, now we make really cool stuff really fast.
Yeah.
Because we didn't put out everything we made.
I think that's true. I guess like I shot a bunch of vlogs, like a couple, probably over the pandemic, that I'm just assuming I'll want later or something. Cause
Yeah.
I never posted any of them. I posted like 2, but they were the first 2. And
Yeah.
I lost track of the whole project basically.
I was hoping that you'd keep iterating on that because I felt like you were just like, I don't know how many episodes away from like finding what you were pumped about.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't sprint in every direction. Like we were literally celebrating your 100th podcast today with the Triple Falls podcast. So
yeah,
it's not like you're not fulfilling those goals and like being consistent on other projects.
Yeah. I mean, those episodes of my, call it Willis vlog, were produced when the podcast wasn't being produced. They were like on a break from.
Oh, sure. So that's your taste of that thing a little bit.
Kind of. I mean, like, you know, kill all my babies tomorrow and like I'll
make a vlog.
Make a couple more. Yeah.
Oh, dude, killing babies. That's actually like this concept that I've kept running into is like a piece of advice that I would give to like people trying to go further faster is like, even though you spent 30 hours on this, be okay with killing it. If you're not pumped about it, if it's not the result but then the same token, like put out stuff as a frame of reference for how good you were at that time. But what I'm trying to say is like, I have this song we talked about earlier, Chicken Nugget. That song had another chorus and it had another drop. And I kept getting frustrated because I wanted the 3 drops and I wanted the 3 choruses, but it was too similar to the other drop and the other chorus was just stacked vocals.
Okay.
And I was like, how do I fit it in there? And once I gave up on that, once I was like, I won't put out the song as it is right now. How do we get it to that point? I just had to start, you know, like, for lack of better terms, killing babies. Like I had to kill that chorus that I was pumped about, those vocal takes that I did. And I had to kill that drop that I might have spent like hours on.
Yeah.
So, but then at the end, the song was way better because of it. Because I took all of the very best aspects of that song and I slammed them together.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's true with like a lot of other things, like songs in general, or like videos or video edits.
Nothing better than cutting like 100 minutes of footage down to like a 30-second edit.
Yeah. That's insane.
Or like, yeah.
I feel like I've had, I'm trying to think of like, there's like a specific reference I always think of that I'm blanking on right now from that idea. Oh, okay. Yeah. So there was this one song where I probably spent like 10 hours making this drop or like this whole song. And then at some point I gave up on, or I don't know. I had to like kill everything that I put into that to make it another thing. So what I did was I resampled the whole thing and then I time stretched it.
Okay.
So, and then I sidechained it. So now it's just a texture in the background that I thought was going to be the whole song. But it's the coolest background texture I've ever heard. So it's like if you allow yourself to kill all that effort that you thought you were putting into one thing and allow it to be less of a thing in another aspect,
yeah,
it'll be a way better, I don't know, I'm still learning about all that too. So
artists have this in all forms too, though. It's like sometimes, a clay artist will take something like some beautiful pot they made and like collapse it, and then it'll be like the reflection of I don't know. I think it's important to know you as the person, like at every keyframe, you are either improving the experience or like subtracting from the experience.
yeah.
And I think that means that doesn't mean you need to like fill every keyframe. Like with music, it's important to have those spaces, the absence of sound, the contrast between the like light and the dark, for you to be able to really have just something beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, because without contrast, you're just like overrunning in one direction.
Mm-hmm. And like I think people's focus is like that a lot too. Like, oh, you're talking about like killing babies and being able to, man, that's
I really hope
not
this
a
doesn't
good
get
one to get
clipped
thrown
out.
around.
We should find another term.
Yeah, we're talking about
how do you say that? Like
offing ventures.
Killing value put into something, killing something you
It's
hold.
like sunk cost. It's like realizing your sunk cost
yeah, there
losses.
you go. Yeah, that's a good term.
So you don't know when you start. You don't know what you're going to get into.
Yeah.
So you just have to see what happens. But like if you never the importantest piece is that if you never start, you'll never go anywhere. Mm-hmm. So you've got to start a lot of things, and if you do all the things, if you complete all the things you start, you probably didn't. It's like if you finish all the books you start, you're not actually doing yourself any favors, because like you probably just
because you're gonna read like one or two books where you like get to the second chapter and you're like, no.
And you told yourself that you finish every book you start, and so you just chug through.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, there's some, that's kind of cool, but yeah, doesn't help our argument.
No.
I found that when you're doing it, isn't it crazy how you give 20 editors the same footage and you won't get the same story? Like, give them no direction. Mm-hmm. You won't get the same edit or the same story. Like from probably, I would love to do that experiment. Mm-hmm. Have like 20 different editors try to use the same footage to like, and give no direction and see how many of them get close to each other. Cause like, I feel like for me,
Mr. B should run that one.
Yeah, that would actually be so
1,000
cool.
editors edit my video.
Yeah. That might be a lot. Maybe like 10, but it's a cool video.
500.
Yeah, I don't know. But when I'm making music or if I'm editing videos, I strive for a story. Mm-hmm. If I can make every decision as a yes or no to whether this is like helping the story, it makes the song and the video so much easier for me. Yeah. Because like the song, it's like, does this sound like what I felt like in that moment?
That sounds like creative confidence. Here, we got to try. Can you answer that? It's up there. If you get it, try and push 6, but answer and be like, hello. All right. Man, I'm hungry. Is that Zach?
Yeah.
Grum, 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 grum.
These are like all the cool topics that I think about a lot. I'm glad we are diving into this.
Well, I think this podcast and whatever else results from these chats will be, this is episode 1, call it. Both of our whatever this is, and it's going to be distributed on NoPlay because NoPlay is dope, and it just it's gonna find its feet there, I think. And we'll keep chatting.
Yeah. Yeah, this is so cool. It'll be cool to... You can go.
There are no replacements for people. There are like no replacements for people. People are totally unique. So that's the like, you give the video to 1 million different people. You get 100,000 or 1 billion different edits.
Yeah.
You just, I mean, you take like twins, people are totally unique.
Yeah. And dude, because then there's the color too. Like what one person thinks the like cool color and vibe of this video should be versus someone, or like same with like mix and master.
Yeah.
Dude, I realized recently, you know how I struggle with like mix and master stuff with like my songs. I realized what the mix guy's job is.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to give him like clean stems.
Yeah.
And then he like makes it wide and full and stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
That's I love that process.
Yeah.
I love like the characterization of all the sounds and where they're placed. I might not be the best at it right now, and they might not be the fullest and loudest songs, but I love how I do them. And I know if I give it to someone else, they're going to tell a different story. And sometimes I think that'll be okay. Like me and Andrew want to go to the studio and record some like 2 instrument songs that we wrote together that I'm so pumped about. But
that's cool.
So with that, I'd be like, yeah, I want to know what that feels like to have someone else tell the mix, tell the story through the mix. Like I can't. But for my own projects, or like for my own songs that I'm kind of fully involved with, once it's a simple, like it makes sense that that's their job.
Yeah.
But recently I just realized that was what it was. And then I was like, I don't want to do that. If anything, I want to be in the room with someone who understands how I do that. Yeah. And they like give me tips on how to do that better.
You could probably pay for that too. It's just a different rate.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. I think it's like it's a cool thing. I mean, some people want to be in the room when they're mastering guys, like doing it too or whatever.
Yeah.
So you can probably hit it at whatever level you're interested in. But I would add is that like you as someone who just uses Ableton and started there, use and know how to correctly use the equivalent of like a massive production studio with all of the like mastering tools that we like engineering tech would have dreamed about just a couple like little bits ago. So you can actually just totally kill it.
Yeah.
Hey, Zach, how's it going?
Good.
Hey.
You want my 1 cent on it?
Yeah, I'd love that.
I think unless you're gonna hire a mastering engineer, I think like leaving your master bus empty to like keep the mix clean is a total like myth, because like I need the like final picture to really imagine it. So like I'll put a limiter on last and maybe a final master EQ, but like my multi-band compression and maybe like a compressor on it, depending on how loud the music is. I need that in order to do what I'm trying to do anyway. So like really you only need to mix that way if you're hiring a mastering engineer.
Yeah.
And even then you can probably find people that work well with whatever type of files you tend to put out. It's just really whatever.
That's a hot take, but I love it. I don't do it often. I normally don't have a master on there to begin with, but I find issues from what he's talking about. Like where I will finish the song and then I'll try to master it and I'll be like, everything that I loved about the song is now going away because it's like, you know, compressing and like EQing and stuff. Like, it's like, no, I wanted to hold on to that little piece. That's why I made it like that. Now this.
Well, that's what's tough because you as an electronic producer, you're curating the exact sound. Like you're curating the entire sound of the thing. You know, if you're playing an instrument, you're like you're not wanting them to replace your kit with a different kit. You're wanting them to make your kit sound as good as it can be.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But you're picking the kit. You're going through Splice or your Banks or your downloads and like picking the exact sound sample that you want. And that's dope too, but it's more of like a curator thing. And so that then if you mix all like I used to master right away. I would start mastering at the beginning, but then it wasn't banging.
Yeah.
So I needed to put my mastering process off towards the end.
I've also like collaborative songs.
Yeah.
I think one of our songs together, you put the mastering chain on it, and then we maybe it was All My Life. I think you had like your like sketch mastering chain on it.
Yeah.
And I made the whole song with that mastering chain on. Yeah. And then I tried to like take it off and replace it with like a multitude of other options. And that was like what sounded the best. So that's my best example for that thing is like I would have never made that song like I did without that mastering chain being on the master.
In the way that
AD too.
Yeah.
AD it with mastering chain on and off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the way that we do it like that, it's like having a single guitar pedal too. It's like that whole thing is basically like a guitar pedal with 8 knobs on it, you know?
Yeah.
Shovel.
All right. I'm hungry.
Cool. Well, this has been the first episode of the NoPlay Podcast with Smile Bro and Conundrum.
It has.
Thank you for checking it out. Even if you didn't, we loved it. We had a good time.
We did.
I'm excited for more.
Yeah.
Like I could go for hours, man.
I know.
I'm pumped about this. So it'll probably be a different setting next time.
Yeah, this was unique.
This is a first run. Learned and failed already.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Love
Willis is hungry, so he wants to
I'm hungry.
Make me speed up my talking and finish this as soon as possible. So ciao for now, and
thanks for tuning in, y'all.
I was hoping for a little more enthusiasm, but
well, no, this was really fun. Like I enjoy this sort of chat, and I'm excited to do more of it. I think you've got we're both planning big things. We're talking about fun stuff and trying to make some moves, and I'm really excited to be able to like capture some little moments, call them, you know, like little bits and pieces that speak to what we got going on.
It'd be fun to reflect on and hopefully helpful for other people.
Totally.
We already have these conversations in general, whether they're recorded or not. So that's why they're being recorded.
Yep.
All right. Now we can go. Eat some tacos. Bye, everyone.
Jacob's getting hot sauce.
I love that.
Yeah, it really, like, my biggest pet peeve of being in the sound world is all the fucking objective rhetoric of any kind. Yeah. Like, get it out of here.